Hi everyone. In the previous video, we have discussed about the female pelvis. In this video, we are going to see about the fetal skull. This is the fetal skull. First, let us see the bones of the vault. Bones of the vault, let us see. First one is occipital bone. This is the occipital bone. You can see at the back side of the skull. It contains, here you can see a hole over here. This is the foramen magnum, and the spinal cord leads through this foramen magnum. And at the middle of this occipital bone, you can see a projection. This projection is known as the occipital protuberance, and this is the ossification center of the occipital bone. So this vault contains one occipital bone, and next is two parietal bones. These parietal bones are at the either side of the fetal skull. This one and this one, two parietal bones. And this projection, see, this projection is the parietal eminence, and this parietal eminence is the ossification center of the parietal bone. This parietal eminence is the ossification center of the parietal bone. And next is two frontal bones are there. Frontal bones 1 and 2. Here also you can see a projection, and this is known as the frontal eminence, and this frontal eminence is the ossification center of the frontal bone. So altogether there are 5 bones in the vault of the fetal skull. That is occipital bone, 2 parietal bone, and 2 frontal bones. And now we can see the sutures of the fetal skull. Suture means a place where 2 or more bones joins together. 2 or more bones, wherever it is joining, that forms a suture. Joining place of 2 or more bones. Here, through the middle, here you can see that this is the meeting place of 2 parietal bones, and this is known as a sagittal suture or longitudinal suture, and it is between the 2 parietal bones. And next is coronal suture. It is between 2 parietal bones and 2 frontal bones. That is this one. This is the coronal suture. Suture between the 2 parietal bones and 2 frontal bones. And the frontal suture is, third one is frontal suture. It is between the 2 frontal bones. This is the frontal suture. And at the back side, here you can see a suture that is between the occipital bone and 2 parietal bones. These 2 parietal bones and this occipital bone, and this suture is known as the lambdoidal suture. So the main sutures are sagittal suture, coronal suture, frontal suture, and lambdoidal suture. Next we can see about the fontanelles. Mainly we are discussing about the 2 fontanelles, that is anterior fontanelle and posterior fontanelle. A fontanelle means it's a wide gap in the suture, or it is a meeting place of 2 or more sutures. So here you can see this is the coronal suture, this is the sagittal suture, and this is the frontal suture. These 4 sutures, these 3 things, here side for coronal suture, all together joins together, and here it forms the anterior fontanelle. That is joining place of frontal suture, anteriorly frontal suture, posteriorly sagittal suture, laterally, that is on either side, coronal suture. It forms the anterior fontanelle. It is almost diamond shaped, see, diamond shaped, and its anterior posterior diameter and transverse diameter is almost same. It is 3 centimeter, and it closes by 18 months or 1.5 years. And the importance of this anterior fontanelle is during the delivery, that is when the fetal head is coming downward through the pelvis, the palpation of the anterior fontanelle, it denotes or it gives a picture about the degree of flexing of the head. That is, if you are able to, when you are doing the power general examination, if you are able to feel this very easily, it shows that the head is not fully flexed. And if the head is fully flexed, the head will be like this, so that you will be palpating the occipital region. So you won't be easily palpating this anterior fontanelle. So palpation of this anterior fontanelle during the internal examination or during the power general examination gives you a picture about the degree of flexion of the head. That's the first importance. And second one, it facilitates the molding of the head. That is, molding means it's overlapping. To a certain extent, actually the fetal bones are compressible, or it will get overlapped one another, so that the diameter of the fetal head will decrease during the birth process. With less diameter, it will be easy for the baby to pass through the pelvis. So that molding, if it is fully ossified and the bones are very strong, that overlapping or that reduction in the diameter won't be possible. So here it allows the molding of the head, and it allows for the, or it helps for accommodating the brain growth. When the brain is growing, if the complete ossification is over, if all the sutures, fontanelles, everything is closed, growth of the skull won't be possible. So when the brain is growing, the size of the head also will increase, and it accommodates the brain growth. And the brain growth will be within 1 year of life, almost double size of the brain will be there. At birth, how much is there? After 1 year, it will become double of that. And if you are palpating this fontanelle, you will get a picture about the intracranial pressure. If the intracranial pressure is high, it will be bulging, and if the intracranial pressure is low, it will be depressed. So by palpating the anterior fontanelle or by palpating the fontanelles, you will get a picture about the intracranial pressure. And during the fetal life, if you want to get cerebrospinal fluid, or if you want to collect the blood through this fontanelle, you can take it. You can aspirate it. And these are the importance of anterior fontanelle. Now we can see about the posterior fontanelle. At the back side also, here you can see the sagittal suture and the lambdoidal suture. These two sutures are joining together, and here a meeting place is there here, and this meeting place is known as the posterior fontanelle or lambdoidal suture. Why it is named as lambdoidal suture means its shape is almost as like Greek letter lambda. See, Greek letter lambda, and the shape of the fontanelle is triangular, and its measurement is 1.2 centimeter. 1.2 into 1.2 centimeter is the size of the posterior fontanelle, and this will get closed by 1.5 months. That is by within 1.5 months, and the anterior fontanelle will get closed by 1.5 years. Okay, so that's all about the fontanelles. Now we can see the areas of the fetal skull. The areas of the fetal skull are vertex, brow and face. Vertex, brow and face. Vertex, brow, face. Vertex is a triangular area bounded anteriorly by the brecma, that is by the anterior fontanelle, coronal suture, and posteriorly by the posterior fontanelle and lambdoidal suture, and laterally by a line passing through the parietal eminence. A line passing through the parietal eminence. So this area anteriorly by the brecma, see from here, if you are drawing a line from here through the parietal eminence to the back and through the posterior fontanelle, and here, this area is the vertex. And if you are coming to the front, an area bounded anteriorly by the anterior fontanelle, coronal sutures, and lower portion by the root of the nose and supraorbital ridges. Root of the nose, see, root of the nose and supraorbital, these are the orbits, orbital ridges, supraorbital ridges. And this place, the space between the root of the nose and supraorbital ridges to the anterior fontanelle, this is known as the brow. This place is the brow. and face is bounded by the root of the nose, that is from the root of the nose to the root of the nose and supraorbital ridges to the junction of the floor of the mouth with the neck, junction of the floor of the mouth with the neck up to here, this junction. So this area is the face. So the areas of fetal skull are vertex, vertex, brow and face. Now we can see the regions of the fetal skull. Regions are also same. Vertex, almost vertex, it is an area rounded by the posterior fontanelle, two parietal eminence and anterior fontanelle, already we have seen. And next region is occiput. Occiput is the region between the foramen magnum. Already I have told you that the spinal cord is living through this foramen magnum. That is from the foramen magnum to the posterior fontanelle. This portion is the occiput. And next is sinciput. Sinciput is from the anterior fontanelle and coronal sutures to the orbital ridges. That is this portion. Previously we have seen about the brow, and that is the sinciput, occiput and sinciput. And next is face, from the supraorbital ridges to the junction of the chin and neck. Here to the junction of the chin and neck. That is the face. These are the regions of the fetal skull. So far we have seen the bones, sutures, areas, regions, fontanelles. Next we can see the diameters of the fetal skull. These diameters, what is the importance of studying these diameters means, during the birth process, these diameters are, according to these diameters, according to the degree of flexion of the head, different diameters will be coming in contact with the pelvis. So as per the availability, if less diameter is passing through the pelvis, delivery will be easy. If largest diameter is passing, there is a chance for arrest of the labor. So it is important for the students to know about the diameters of the fetal skull. First let us see the longitudinal diameters. Transverse diameters are there and longitudinal diameters are also there. First let us see the longitudinal diameters. That first one is suboccipitobregmatic. Suboccipitobregmatic. It is from below the occipital protuberance. Already we have seen this is the occipital protuberance. Below the occipital protuberance to the center of the bregma. Bregma is anterior fontanelle to the center of the bregma. Below the occipital protuberance to the center of the bregma. This is suboccipitobregmatic. It is 9.5 centimeter. And the next one is suboccipitofrontal. That is from the same point, that is from below the occipital protuberance to the center of the frontal suture. This is a frontal suture, already we have seen, to the center of the frontal suture. This is 10 centimeter. Suboccipitobregmatic and suboccipitofrontal. And next one is occipitofrontal. That is from the occipital protuberance. From this occipital protuberance to the glabella, to the anterior fontanelle. That is occipitofrontal. This is 11.5 centimeter. Next one is mendovertical. Mentum, the chin is otherwise known as mentum. This portion, the middle portion of the chin, this portion is mentum. And this supraorbital, just at the root of the nose, already I have told you that from the root of the nose to the face or brow is, sinciput or brow is from the supraorbital ridges and root of the nose to the anterior fontanelle. Already we have seen that. This place, this root of the nose, the top portion is always known as glabella, and this is mentum. Okay, mendovertical means it is from the midpoint of the chin to the highest point of the vertex. Highest point of the vertex, that is known as the highest point of the sagittal suture. Both things are same. See, somewhere here. That is known as the mendovertical. It is 13.5 centimeter. Mendovertical is 13.5 centimeter. And the next one is submendovertical. It's a junction of the floor of the mouth to the highest point of the sagittal suture. Junction of the floor of the mouth to the highest point of the sagittal suture. That is submendovertical. This is 11.5 centimeter. Submendovertical is 11.5 centimeter. And the last one in the longitudinal diameter is submendobregmatic. Submendobregmatic. It is junction of the floor of the mouth to the center of the bregma, or center of the anterior frontal. That is submendobregmatic. That is 9.5 centimeter. Junction of the floor of the mouth to the center of the bregma. That is 9.5 centimeter. And now let us see the transverse diameters. I have told you that longitudinal diameters are important and transverse diameters are also important. So we have seen almost all the important longitudinal diameters. Now let us move to the transverse diameter. In the first one is biparietal diameter. Biparietal diameter. It's the distance between two parietal eminence. Distance between two parietal eminence. This distance is the biparietal diameter. It is 9.5 centimeter. 9.5 centimeter. And super subparietal. It is from a point placed below one parietal eminence. From a point placed below one parietal eminence to a point placed above the other parietal eminence. This is above the parietal eminence and this is below the parietal eminence. So from below the parietal eminence to a point above the parietal eminence, that is known as super subparietal. That is also 8.5 centimeter. And next is bitemporal diameter. It's a distance between the anterior inferior ends of the coronal suture. That is this distance between the two farthest points of the coronal suture. Here the coronal suture ends, and here also this coronal, that is above the mastoid bone and below the parietal bone. So from here to the opposite side, ends of the distal points of the coronal suture, that is known as the bitemporal. It is 8.2 centimeter. And the last one is bimastoid diameter. Bimastoid diameter, it's a distance between the tips of the mastoid process. This is the mastoid process, and see here, mastoid process, and this is the tip of the mastoid process. So from here to the opposite side, tip of the mastoid process here. See. So this is bimastoid diameter. It is 7.5 centimeter. So these are the important transverse diameters. Next we can see, already while we have started to discuss about the diameters, I have told you about the molding. Molding is alteration of the shape of the forecoming head, alteration in shape of the head while passing through the birth canal during the process of labor. And usually it disappears within 1 hour after the birth. Usually, even if it is getting overlapped also, and even if the shape of the fetal head is changing also, within 1 hour it will come back to the normal shape. And as per the degree of overlapping of these bones will get overlapped. See, it will get overlapped like this. On the basis of this overlapping, this molding can be graded into 3 grades: grade 1, grade 2 and grade 3. The bones are, if they are just they are touching and it is not overlapping, that is known as a grade 1. And grade 2 means it's overlapped. The bones are overlapped, but it can be separated easily. That is grade 2. And grade 3 is, it is overlapped. It is not possible to separate this overlapping very easily. That is known as a grade 3. And the importance of this molding is, see, if the bones are getting overlapped, we know that automatically the diameters of the fetal skull, whatever we have studied, that also will decrease. And this slight molding allows the passage of the baby easily through the birth canal. But extreme molding is happening means there is a chance for separation. When it is getting molded, we know that the layers under this, that is the tentorium cerebelli, those layers may get tear, and there is a chance for subdural hemorrhage also. If it is mild, it helps for the easier passage of the baby. So that's all about the important points of the fetal skull. So we have seen the bones, sutures, diameters, fontanelles, regions and molding. Thank you and watch this video, and if you like this video, subscribe and press on the bell button for getting updates about the future videos. Thank you.